Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my Star Wars world. And today is a very special episode because we are finally going to be finishing off Tatooine. It's going to be done, and I'm going to be able to move on to the next island, the final island in this little starter area, which will be Mustafar. But let's just jump straight in to building up the first of these towers, because I have all of the resources here. I have everything set up and ready to go. You see we've got some boxes here, we've got a box over here, we've got a few here and a few over there. So everything is set up ready. I've done all the designs. So first we're going to jump in, make this tower on the left here, and then we will build the farm inside, and then we'll move on to the other buildings. And we also have a couple of armor stand scenes to do at the end of the episode today as well, and that will be everything done. And I'm really looking forward to finishing this island so we can move on to the next. But let's jump straight in with the first build. And that is the first of these two towers finished. That is all built up, and now we're going to go ahead and start making the farm inside of that. And after what I mentioned in the last episode, the one in here is going to be the Amethyst farm. And to be honest, I didn't have a door on it, but this little pipe here is going to be my entrance, so we'll just come in here. And as you can see, I have plenty of space. So we have the farm all designed up here, and you've got the soul sand here to lower us down a little bit so that the water actually doesn't push us too fast. And then we have the minecart hoppers picking up the items and the geodes upside down here. So the reason we have these geodes upside down instead of the other way is because I originally had them where these minecarts are, and then when these grew up, when they were like half grown, they would land on top when I broke them, and land on top of the half-grown ones, and then the minecart actually wouldn't pick it up, so it was easier to have them upside down to give it the space to drop. So I've got 6 layers here, which means I'm going to need 126 of these budding amethyst. And as I mentioned in the last episode, I have a data pack on from Vanilla Tweaks that allows me to silk touch the budding amethyst, which lets me make a cool farm like this, which you wouldn't normally be able to make, so that's quite fun. But now I'm going to go and grab those amethyst, and I'm going to also gather up the rest of the resources that I need to build this, and we'll just get on with that. So the worst part about this is going to be getting these geodes, and let's just see how many I actually get from one of these. I think I'm just going to break everything. Wait. Oh, I already took all of the budding from this. You know what? I got a better idea. Let me get some night vision potions. We'll be able to see into the ocean a lot better. I have this potion brewing set up, so I might as well start using them properly. Oh, look at that. I can see way better now. Not that there's much to see. There we go. I see a couple over here. Alright, this shouldn't be too bad then. I got 25 from one of those, so basically I'm going to need to do like 6. Alright, I got 30 from that one, so that's pretty nice. Here's a couple more of the mushroom islands that I'll be working on later in the series. Alright, just half a stack more, but I probably will need to find 2 more of these. Alright, I just need to find one more of these, and that should be enough. Oh, that one was nice and hidden. And that should be more than enough of those. I'm going to get rid of these crystals because I really don't need those. And what is the way out? Oh, I blocked the hole. I came out this way. Is there not a hole in here somewhere? Oh, I'm definitely going to drown in here. No, go back before I get lost. That was a stupid idea. Time to gather up the rest of the resources and then we'll get to building it. Well, this is the worst part of any building project, is starting and deciding where to start. But I guess I'm just going to start from the back and at the bottom, and then I'll move over to the little storage area after. So we're just going to put in this system here in order to... That's not the right one. In order to get the items that are on the bottom to actually come back up, because otherwise they're just going to be stuck down there. Because the storage system is a little bit higher than the actual items that are coming out. So that can start off like that, not a problem. And we'll just work layer by layer using the Lightmatica mod, just because some of this is a little bit annoying to deal with. So firstly we need to get all the hoppers in the right direction. That would be very useful. I think the biggest problem I have with any of these projects is like how to arrange the inventory, because it's annoying when you're halfway built up and you need like some random item that you only need one of in the whole build. But there's not really much else we can do about it, is there? And especially when you have items like these, the minecart hoppers. So that is the first layer of hoppers done, and now I'm going to just sort out this side, and then we'll move on to the next layer. So in order to actually get me up to the next layer, I needed some way to get me off of the water and into a water stream, and the easiest way I found to do that is having a pressure plate at the end that will activate a little piston, not a double piston extender, it's like it extends and then goes out to the side, and we have a slime block on top of that, and that way it will actually just push me. But in order to do that, we need to have like a double pulse. So I'll just quickly build it and I'll show you how it works. Right, so I've built it up here. Essentially the pressure plate activates this, which will immediately activate this block, pushing this piston out, which the sticky piston and the slime block will go out together. Once that happens, we have this on 3 ticks, so that will then activate after 3 ticks. It will then activate again, so it will be a double pulse from this observer, which will extend that out, pushing me, and then it will retract it. And then at the same time that that second 3 ticks happens, this one will also then reach this block, which means it will then pull it back in. So you should see, if I slowly just walk, and what have I done wrong? Something didn't work there. Okay, let me just put the water in. I'll put the water in first, and then hopefully it should work. I don't know why it's not working without the water. That's pretty weird, but I'll just figure it out, I guess. Alright, so hopefully now it should work. I'm just going to move down a bit to make this a bit quicker. Right, there you go, and you see it retracted again. I don't know why it wasn't working when I walked onto it. Maybe there was something I was doing wrong, but that is actually the first layer of the system's done. There will be something here as well to push me across, but for now, let's see what needs to be on the next layer. This is basically an empty layer, so I don't think there's going to be a lot. One thing I have done is I put these candles in here. I needed something to light it up, and I just thought the purple candles would look nicer. It doesn't really matter, I could put anything. The main reason I chose these is because they're lower, so I can't actually mine them with the pickaxe. Realistically, the torches would be better because then items can't get stuck on them, but I don't think it happened often enough in my testing for me to be particularly worried about it. Now obviously, because I have the chutes going up either side, as I will alternate, and you'll see how I build it pretty soon, you can't drop straight back down to the beginning like this, so I had to actually have myself be pushed out a little bit away from the farm, and then I'm going to have to push myself back in, which is why we have this little system here which pushes me into the water. Now I had to do something a little bit weird with these hoppers. Because of the way it works, I couldn't actually get these to, so the ones on that side, on the layer below, they come down here, but on this layer they come across here, because I couldn't actually get them to go round, because then I would break them here as I go round the system. I actually need some obsidian above these blocks, because when you get pushed up you do get stuck for a split second, so any blocks that are easily breakable would get broken in the farm, and that's not ideal. So I had to go around the back on half of them, and the other half, because you come up the other way, were fine on that side. And you can see these don't line up with these because the farm sort of staggers to give me the space in order to put these water elevators in. Now I'm going to quickly try and put all these hoppers in, because otherwise the amethyst is going to grow and be right in my way. I won't be able to put these hoppers down, so best to get these in as quick as possible. I also have a bit of water in here to stop the fall damage, and that way I can use the pressure plate to activate this. Originally I was using a string with an observer, but I found that where I'm holding down the brake button, it was actually breaking the string, so that was a bit annoying. But overall, you can see the design of this farm is a little bit messy, but it's very simple, and from the inside there's not really much going on. You're just going to break these geodes. Right, I'm now going to place in the chests, because I do need to connect these hoppers up, and it'll probably be easier to do that now. And one other thing, down here we need to do our system for dropping off the excess, so that we don't have too much lag going on. And I just have it going into a cactus. I chose a cactus on this occasion because I didn't want to burn down all my beehives, so I figured better not use the lava or fire. And that's all working, so now we need to put in the hoppers and connect all of this up. That also now means any items that I drop into the farm are going to come back. And this is where I put the obsidian that I mentioned earlier, because when you come up here you kind of bounce around as you slowly get moved over, and then once you're in it will take you along the farm, but this block here can get broken, and so I just use an obsidian just to stop that from happening. So that is 2 layers finished up. So when you want to start the farm, you come here, you line your pickaxe up, and you just hold down the attack at a certain angle, and it will slowly move you across this first layer, and then when I get to the end you'll see it should push me up to the second layer. So then once I reach the end, the slime block pushes me, and then it brings me up to the second layer, and then it will line me up with them again, and it will do this 6 times on mine, but this can be expanded up as far as you want. You could even have multiple layers backwards and forwards, but it's just because I have this small building, this is where I fit in. If you're ever in a situation where you're placing rails down like this, there's actually a very easy way to do it. I used to actually, oh, and I've messed it up. I just messed it up after saying that. Brilliant. So the thing is, right, when you have this one on the end like that, and you want to place one on the end next to it, instead of going off the end, you can actually just go one in. So if you place it one in, and then you can place the end one, and it will all link up correctly. So you'll see that one's in line with this. Instead of placing it here, I just place it one forwards and go like that, and they all then will just line up. So essentially it's about starting in the middle of a rail rather than at the end, because then it will try to change the direction. Okay, now we're on to the final layer, where it will be a little bit different on top, but you can see I've just replicated that going all the way up, and these things have been growing because I've been going very slow. And I think my tick rate is actually set up from where I was testing some stuff out, so that's probably helped them to grow a bit quicker as well. So for the final layer, we have a very simple way of getting ourselves back down, which is just a water bucket that puts us into that hole there, and I actually need one more water bucket, so that's pretty annoying. Final water bucket is this one here to push us all the way to the end. This is the last of the mine carts, and the top layer is now pretty much done, other than the little system here to push me out, which shouldn't take me very long at all. And all I need to do now is place in the last layer of the budding amethyst, and then just cover the top of those, and we should be all finished, and it should actually be working now. The only thing I'm thinking is, because it's a mining thing, I might need to put a beacon up in order to stop myself from dying from hunger. But yeah, that should all be working now. I'm going to just put myself through the system and just make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do. So we'd line up here, and we can break these as we go along. And there is something I actually want to try, potentially an optimization on the part where you get pushed up the water elevators. I'm thinking if I put a pressure plate above my head, it might actually make me bounce less, meaning I can get out of that bit quicker. Not because it's quicker for the mining of them, but because obviously they take a while to grow, but it would be getting me away from that obsidian quicker, meaning that even if there's a little delay for any reason, it won't actually be breaking any blocks, which would be very useful. So if I put one up here, does it slow me down or does it speed me up? I feel like it's not made any difference. If I put a slab, oh, I see what's happening. What if I just put a block? I didn't realise it was a 2-block gap like that. Oh, that's way better. Oh, I should have just put a block above my head the whole time. Okay, I'll put 2 there like that. Oh, that's a significant improvement. That only leaves one thing left to do, which is just to finish off this little room. I didn't do anything good with this room, I literally just did a purple box, but that will do the job for now. And that's it, finished. It is looking a bit messy, it isn't looking very nice, but it does the job, and that's all we really need it to do, because the outside is really where the decoration is based. Not sure if I can do anything with this tunnel, it's not much space to work with really, is it? So that is the first tower done. So now let's move on, and we'll jump back into a time lapse for me to build up the second tower here. So that is the second tower built up. So now we need to put some farms inside of it, and also don't think I've forgotten, there is this building here and this one over here that also needs some bits. So you'll see I've got some shulker boxes, I've got some there, and one down here. Another thing I did add as well during that time lapse was another one of these radio towers, just to give it a bit more of a complete look. And also there was two on some of the images I found, so I figured it would look good with a couple, and it kind of blends in anyway, you don't see it too well, so it's fine for now. So I have actually built up these farms and a bit of a design inside, and for some reason I completely forgot that I need some lighting in here. As I've come in, I've realised how dark it is, and I didn't put any lighting blocks in the design because I was using the night vision while I was doing it, so it all looked fine. For now I'm just going to come and grab a few of these night vision potions, that way I don't have to work out the lighting until I'm all finished. So in this room there's actually going to be multiple farms, and they're all going to be kind of along the wall, so we'll go over what they are, but you'll probably get an idea for what they are once I actually start building them. So as you can see, we've got spaces for about, what is it, 4, 5, 9 farms? 10 farms. There's 10 farms in this building, 5 down the side here, 3 across the back, 1 in the middle, and 1 in the corner here. You can probably start to get close to guessing, if you haven't already, what's going to be in here. The grass might be a little bit of a giveaway, and the fact that there's such a lot of small farms, that might also help. Funnily enough, the first one I started with, which is going to be here, will be a fern farm. So that's just to get more ferns, and I started with that, not realising that would be literally the worst one to do. I started working on it, and then I was like, this is basically impossible. I watched a video from Roie's works, and it was from 2 years ago, and it didn't seem to work anymore, so I actually ended up deciding to go with my own kind of design on this one. And basically the way I've done it is I'm using some macros on my keyboard in order to press both, because I couldn't figure out any other way to do it. So yeah, we just come in here and we can just press the macro in order to click the left and right clicks alternately. Probably just face at this wall or something so that I don't break the dirt block as well. And that's pretty simple. The other ones are all very similar but less complicated than this one. This was the worst one. The reason I have this dispenser on the floor here is because I actually plan to include like a system to drop off XP so that the shears could get continuously used. However, you can see the redstone underneath for that. It's not very big, but it was just a bit annoying to get it to do that, and it's still probably a little bit quick, so I won't use that all the time. This will just be where I drop off some of the XP bottles for that to be used, and this is where I'll put the bone mill up here, and you'll see those go all the way along as well. I put these 2 barrels here because I'm basically just going to make a bunch of unbreaking 3 shears, and we're just going to put those in the barrels, so whenever I come here they're already ready and set up. So the other 4 that are in this line are all pretty much the same thing with different flowers. So I'm just going to go and build all of those together now. So that is the first 5 farms done. So we've got the fern one here. These ones are much easier. We've got the glow lichen, we've got the hanging roots, we've got the glowberry, and we have the what they're called sweet berries. And the reason why I use these flower pots is because I needed a way to reach in this gap. Originally I tried using the part of the stairs, and then I was trying some other blocks, but these glowberries just fall through everything, but they don't actually fall through the plant pots. So you can right click inside of here and I can just sit there and hold that down while the dispensers go in, and they just all collect in the bottom. Same thing for this. We've got the shears in here, we can put the shears in here as well for the glow lichen, and then we have the sweet berry bush down here, which we just right click as well. Right, I'm just going to chuck these last 3 down this side, and then we'll move on to the last 2 slightly bigger and more difficult ones to make for this room. And that is the other 3 built up. We've got the pink petals down here, we've got the twisted vines and the weeping vines from the nether as well, just because I didn't really know what else to put here and there was enough space for 2, so I figured I would just put those in. Not that I'm going to be using it a whole lot. And that is farm number 9, and we also have a roof in here. This is very basic again, I don't need anything complicated in here, but this is for the big drip leaves, and I think, yeah, we need the gap here so we can place in a new drip leaf once it breaks, because even if you break it from a higher point, it will break every single one. So you do need to constantly keep replenishing that. And I've got it going all the way up into this tower, which I can't really get to now, so we'll just show you in the free cam. It just comes up here, and yeah, it will just detect and then push the top ones, and that will be very simple. A 1-click button, we can just hold that down, sit in here and just keep holding it down on the dirt. And then we have this one last farm here, which as you can see is way more complicated than all of the other ones, and that's because this is going to be for the hanging vines, and they're obviously very useful for making the cobble and stone blocks into the mossy versions, so I definitely need some of that at some point. And because they grow a bit slow and they're not bone millable, you might as well just have something like this, similar to what I did in the Amethyst, except this one is just going to go back and forth rather than up and down and around, because I don't think we're going to need as many of that compared to the Amethyst, which is used for the tinted glass. And just like that, we have a very simple setup, and I'm just going to place some vines in across here, and I also want to place some can I not get back there? Oh, am I even going to be able to get out of here though? Looks like I'm going off the end. Yeah, so the idea is you'll just sit in here, and if I sit back then I can't break the back wall, and I should be able to break both layers. And I haven't set the string up yet. And then you should see when we hit this string it will flip both of the buckets, and I will get sent back the other way, and there you go. Just go back and forth and the mud here will collect all of the items. And that is my little plant growing room all finished up. I just kind of filled in all of the space where the grass is with some 2 tall flowers just to make it feel a little bit more full in here. But realistically, all I'm going to be doing in this area is coming, standing in one of these and holding down a button. So it doesn't need to look amazing. I think it does the job and shows what the room is all about. And that means we can move on to the last 2 buildings in here. This one that's empty and the one in the back over there. And I think what we'll do is we'll start on the round building next to us first. Actually, that's a good point. I have to put some lighting in here, but you know what? I'm going to leave that to the end. We'll come and put all the lighting in all 3 of these once I am done. I don't think I need anything from these boxes, so let's move on and get on with the next room. And this one's quite simple in here, so we'll start with this one. So for this room, I actually decided to make this one the wood stripping area because I realized there wasn't enough space in here for the cocoa beans, so that will be in the other room, and you'll see why. Even in that room it was a bit tight. In this one I was barely able to get even a stack in, so there was really no point. And that is that room done, nice and simple. It literally just took me 5 minutes to do, and there was really nothing complicated about it. So I'm doing this in a pretty primitive way, just a bunch of redstone repeaters and torches. That way it is constantly extended until I press a button that I'll place down shortly, and then I will be able to basically harvest them all. Typically I would have done it the opposite way, where this will be retracted and then when I press the button it will extend, because sometimes they might get stuck on top if I do it this way. However, because it's so close to the roof, the slime blocks and honey blocks will actually pull down some of the blocks from the roof, and we don't really want that, so I'm just going to have to do it in the reverse, having them pulled down. I did come up with a bit of a fix for it by putting some obsidian blocks all the way over the top. It seems to kind of pop the items out if they do get stuck up there, so it's not really a massive problem. I've run into a bit of a weird issue here where the most difficult part is actually trying to fit these in the correct orientation. In fact, I think there's actually going to be an easier way to do this. If I take a lever, I must have one, yeah. I'm going to take a lever and we're going to just switch it on so that they're down, and then that should make it a lot easier to do. And now you'll see when I click this lever, it will drag those down, and now I can actually place in these logs a lot easier like this. That is the cocoa bean room all finished up, and there should be enough spaces here for 66 cocoa beans, so essentially I should be getting about 9 stacks every time. Sorry, 66 on each row, so that's times 3 actually, so that's 198 cocoa beans. So I need to go and grab some to put on here, but just to show you quickly, they just pop down and they pop back up, and any that get stuck on top will just go on the obsidian and just get popped out, and the whole floor is just hoppers. There's no decoration in here, no design, because this is tightly packed in the best I could with the space I had. But that means all of the farms for this island are finished. That is a great step, and actually Mos Eisley itself is now finished. The only thing I need to do, just go and grab some torches to place in these last few buildings. Maybe we can sneak one back here. It's kind of hidden behind the flowers, that's pretty cool. I think we'll put one up by each of these barrels, because it's looking a bit dark up there. It is really dark in this room. I mean, I know obviously there's no torches up until now, but still it feels a bit extra dark, to be honest. So we're just going to spread these around. It's probably a bit much. Okay, I think that'll do the job. It's still a little bit dark, but I don't really know what else I can do about it. This room's just pretty dark, isn't it? And on to the next one. I'm already running out of torches from that. Should have got more. And that'll do for now. And now I need some more torches for the cocoa bean room. And I think that should do the job. The only way I'm going to know is when it turns nighttime, so yeah, we'll see how this goes. I think that should be fine, and again, it's not a room I'm going to be coming into a lot. Now I need to grab some cocoa beans. Luckily we have a load over here ready to go already. You know what, it doesn't look too bad at night time actually. But what I've done is I've gone through and I've actually filled up all of these with bone meal all the way to the top, so you can see they're all just filled up here. I've also just put a bunch of bone block shulkers in this chest. And I've also put a bunch of Unbreaking 3 shears, so that should last me for a little while. Still not going to last that well because they're shears. I also made this axe here, and it's probably going to go into the chest. You can see it's got efficiency 4. The reason I've done that is because when I've been stripping the wood, I found that it would break too quickly and it wouldn't strip every log, which would be quite annoying for an AFK thing. So I made one specifically for this job. And as well as that, you can also see I've gone down the wrong alley. It's only a small town, but I'm already getting confused. So in this room in here, you'll see the cocoa beans have also grown up. I let them grow for a bit, so that is all ready to be harvested. But that means we have one thing left to build on all of this Tatooine. It's almost done. We're so close to the end. But now, let's jump to the time lapse of me building the final Tatooine build. Yes, that's right, for the final build of Tatooine, I ended up doing the Millennium Falcon. I had plans to do this from the very beginning. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I wanted to put it in the hangar there, but you can see it is way too big, and this is actually pretty much correct scale size. Now let's use one of these slow falling potions to take a look at it properly, because I haven't used one yet and I have them. So you can see on top we've got all of the little panels and things, and this is actually the correct size, other than maybe like 1 meter, and it was a lot of fun to make. But what I will say is this was actually very easy compared to some of the vehicles, because I had the length measurement and the width, and basically when I did that I realized that the back side of it is actually just a circle. So then you make the circle, and then the little forks at the front actually stick out to the point of where the length of the ship is. So it was very easy to get the size measurements correct, and yeah, it was just doing the details after that and just doing the shape, and it was very simple. However, the most difficult part was finding a place to put it, because I didn't want to block off all the other builds, so trying to find a place where it was clearly visible and yet still not blocking everything, and I think this really works well. And look at that, the back of it's so cool. I mean, the engines, the sea lanterns are perfect for that, and I think it really just completes the look of Tatooine, because that is Tatooine finished. Everything is done, and there is one other thing which you may be able to see I did do as well off camera, and that is a couple more of the armor stand scenes. So first let me just come back down here and grab some rockets, because I'm about to run out. We have the stormtroopers here surrounding the vehicle. Now the only thing with this one is the scale is just slightly off. You can see that they're very small, because as I mentioned, this vehicle was done in quite a large size, but I think it all fits in just well enough. It's not right, but it still looks pretty decent. R2-D2 there laying on his back, which I thought was quite funny. I didn't really know whether I should put something on the bottom of his feet, because normally they would be on the floor, so I never bothered before, but I think we'll leave it like that for now. And then there is one other little scene that I've done, but tell you what, let me go grab some milk, get rid of this effect, and look at that as we fly in. I think it's in the perfect place, and it's really cool just seeing that in the sky. And then we have one final armor stand scene, which I also did, which is inside of the landing bay here. And you can see we just got the Mandalorian at his ship, pointing his gun at these little pit droids, because as we know, the Mandalorian, he hates droids and he does not want them working on his ship. I thought some of these little stand positions look pretty cool. They're kind of excited or confused. I think that's what the pit droids are generally like. They're pretty boisterous, shall we say. But that leaves me with one more task to do here for the end of this episode. We're going to go and finish off the map room up in here. And I fell down. Brilliant. So it looks like the last time I updated this was when we had all the lines in, and now we're going to go through and fill all that out. And also I did the cantina there, so I think this one, and I don't know if the bottom ones are actually going to need it. Tell you what, let's take all 4 of these and we'll just go and fly over and do those quickly. See that? We see the Millennium Falcon coming in there. The landing bay with a Razor Crest looks really cool. And there we go, the Tatooine map wall is finished. Unfortunately, because of all the sandstone, it kind of blends in with some of the buildings, but you can see the outlines, and some of them do stick out. So partly I wish that I went with a different block, but look at that, seeing the Millennium Falcon there, sitting on there, it's not very good up close. And also the Razor Crest, I think that looks really cool in the landing bay. And we can't forget this guy here from all the episodes ago. Why does it look like a person or something? It's so strange. Oh dear. But that's that finished. Tatooine is done. That means we can now move on to the final island of this area, and that's going to be Mustafar. But I'll be honest, I'm still torn. I'm still torn about this. I really want to do Mustafar because I want the super smelter there. However, my Star Wars side of me is saying, you know what, I really want to do Hoth, because it's like the 3 films, right? You got Tatooine in the first film, Endor in the last film. The middle film is a bit of Hoth and a bit of Cloud City, but I think it's more iconic, the Hoth side of it. So I don't know, I'm really torn about it. I think I'm just going to go with Mustafar. The other problem is it's a decent sized island, but I don't know. I mean, look, compared to Endor, that's tiny. It is pretty big. So let's go take a quick look. I feel like it should be big enough to do the complex, the mining complex on Mustafar, but Hoth as well. I mean, no, I want to do multiple of the walkers on Hoth, and I want to have a nice big ice land where I can do some of the ships and some of the little guns fighting and stuff like that, and obviously the rebel base there as well. So yeah, we'll leave Hoth. As much as I would love it, as much as it would make more sense in terms of the lore, I'll just go with Mustafar for the super smelter, because that's really what I need. I'm really at the point where I'm struggling with those. But that is amazing to have that finished. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far and really enjoyed the Tatooine side. I know it's been a bit repetitive, but that's all for today, and that's all for Tatooine. Hope you enjoyed watching. I have spoken.